Now on to news just coming in. The only airline to have expressed interest in bidding for Air India seems to be backtracking. IndiGo's president Aditya Ghosh has informed investors, and I quote, "We do not believe that we have the capability to take on the task of acquiring and successfully turning around all of Air India's airline operations," end of quote. Joining me now is Ashpreet Sethi with the details. So Ashpreet, it looks like IndiGo is not interested any longer. They'd always made it clear that they were interested in the international operations, but the government has made it clear that it's going to be a combined sale as per the expression of interest that's been put in the public domain. So what else has Aditya Ghosh said?
Well, yes, absolutely. In fact, it is the only airline which has shown expression of interest formally and had written to the aviation ministry saying that they are interested just in the international operations. However, going by the statement that the IndiGo has issued today, in fact, a lot of investors had put in queries, had asked the IndiGo management to clarify whether they are still interested after the EOI had come out in the public. Remember, we have been reporting for the longest time, and it is there in the EOI that domestic and international operations will not be sold separately. So what Ghosh is saying right now to investors is that from day one we have been interested in international operations. However, it is not part of the expression of interest, and as you were quoting him, that we have communicated, we do not believe that we have the capability to take on the task of acquiring and successfully turning around all of Air India's operations. Now what we pick up also is that IndiGo has filed a BSc filing. Of course, they have explained as to what were the queries. We'll get you more updates as soon as we get a hand on that filing.
Okay, Ashpreet, appreciate you joining us. Let's go across now to Kapil Kaul from Kapa. Kapil, IndiGo, Aditya Ghosh making it clear that, look, it's the international operations that we were interested in, and we may not have the capability to turn around Air India's combined domestic and international operations, and hence the only interested party that had put in an unsolicited expression of interest seems to be opting out of the race.
Well, Shireen, I think it's an excellent decision. IndiGo is going through game-changing expansion plans. I call it a once-in-a-generation expansion plans. Roughly about 60-65 aircraft to be added in one fiscal. For them to have taken such a complex and a very, very challenging operation and simultaneously execute their own business plan was near impossible. We spoke at your show, in your show, when IndiGo had expressed unsolicited interest, and we said that this is a very unwise decision. I'm happy there is a course correction. It's good for their business, good for their investors and shareholders. So I think it's an excellent decision. I think, and I was not expecting government to break domestic and international, and for IndiGo to take on Air India along with executing a massive expansion plan was impossible. So I think a good decision.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that it's a good decision on IndiGo's part, and the IndiGo's investors should be relieved that they've decided perhaps not to go through with this. But where does this leave Air India then, Kapil? I mean, you know, this is a complex and a complicated business. There is, of course, the complication of having the government in some form or fashion present there, whether they continue to hold on to that stake or they bring in a government-owned financial institution to hold that stake is a different matter altogether. But, you know, where do you really see the real interest coming in now for Air India?
So I think the expression of interest, my assessment is still an excellent document in the sense that it's the best government could do to balance many factors that they need to balance, and the document expresses that very clearly. I still feel that Air India was not meant for IndiGo. But Air India could be something very valuable for Vistara. Either they come from Tata Singapore, because it will overnight create another Singapore Airlines. Similarly for Jet, to be honest with you, it's too strategic for them to have a very strong competitor in private hands in Air India. So I still believe that there will be a lot of interest. Our initial estimate was 4 to 6, which included all the 4 Indian carriers. But this changes the game completely, because if you look at it, the only well-capitalized and airline which could have the wherewithal to execute financially Air India was IndiGo. Rest of the carriers don't have the money, and if we take Vistara's bid through Tata Singapore, that would be the only one which perhaps could qualify. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think in IndiGo's interest, it's a very good decision. But overall bid, I still believe that there will be a significant interest.
You still believe that there will be significant interest.
Yes.
But Kapil, the possibility of a large Indian conglomerate perhaps tying up with a foreign carrier, I mean, outside, of course, of the Tata Vistara obvious choice, do you think that that possibility seems now more and more realistic?
Yes, I would think so. Yes, I would think so. Tata Singapore would be one consortium, and you would find maybe possibly one or two more consortiums. But after IndiGo's decision to exit, I'm not very sure whether the other carriers, perhaps except Jet, would be interested. Vistara, I'm not qualifying it. I'm qualifying Vistara through Tata Singapore. So this basically changes the dynamic a bit. But I still believe that it's an excellent opportunity for somebody like Tata Singapore to be in a market which is potentially going to grow for about 3 to 4 decades and more. It's an excellent opportunity, but not good for. It was not meant for IndiGo, and I think IndiGo has taken a wise decision.
A wise decision taken by IndiGo to opt out of the race for Air India. Kapil Kaul, appreciate you joining us at this hour with that take on the decision that's been taken now by IndiGo Airlines.